the channel. I'm super excited to show you guys my latest addition to my watch collection today. This is the 2018 Omega Seamaster Professional 300 meter dive watch. I've been eyeing this watch for some time now, and I finally got to acquire it, and I'm a proud owner. I've had it for about a week. I've just really enjoyed my time with it so far. Went on a weekend trip to visit my best friend and his wife last weekend, and I wore the watch, and it was just an awesome weekend with my friends and just talking their ear off about horology and different movements and watches and all that stuff, and bothering the heck out of them. But it was a great weekend, and really enjoyed my time with this watch. So without further ado, guys, let me go ahead and unbox this, give you the experience of what it's like to unbox this. So here is the presentation box. It's beautiful, beautifully finished. It's kind of like a piano wood type of material, high gloss, very beautiful. It's got the Omega logo there on the center of the box. Here is the push button for the box since 1848, Omega, Swiss made. Comes with a couple other things, which I'm sure you guys probably don't care about as much as the actual watch itself, so I'll breeze by them. You got the instruction manual in like every language imaginable. You got, there's like a customer contact card in here, description of the warranty, and then you have some international warranty card, chronometer, certification card, and pictograms, which talks about, I think, what kind of movement caliber that is in the watch, and then describes the warranty a little bit at a high level. Nice little, leather insert there. So now let's get into the actual watch itself. Without further ado, let me press this button and release the Kraken. So here is the box. It's very beautiful. It's got the soft leather lining here. It's kind of a beige cream color. Just an excellent box, right from the outside to the inside. Just wonderfully finished. And here is the watch sitting proud on the presentation pillow here. So let me go ahead and take it out. There is the hang tag that comes with the watch. And here is the watch itself, guys. Very beautiful watch. Everything from the new wave dial, laser etched, to the maxi applied indices, loomed indices, to the new bezel with the enamel lettering, which makes it more visible, to even the position of the date window, which is at 6 o'clock now instead of 3 o'clock from the outgoing model. Just adds to the symmetry of the watch as well. And then the dial itself is actually ceramic, so it's very glossy, very beautiful. This wave pattern actually goes back to the Bond era, the original Bond Omega Seamaster that came out in the 1990s. And those were a little bit more narrow. They weren't finished as nicely. The new ones are laser etched. They're spaced out. It's just a really cool touch, and kind of a throwback to that era. This is the latest, I think the third model in that line of watches. Still keeps the DNA of the Bond watch, but really updates it, and just an amazing execution by Omega with this iteration here. So you got a screw down signed crown at 3 o'clock position. Then you got the helium escape valve up at the 10, which is kind of controversial from a design standpoint by a lot of watch enthusiasts, but I personally like it. I think it gives the watch a lot of character. It distinguishes this watch from any other dive watch out on the market. If you took out this crown, it would just look like a lot more generic, in my opinion. So it really adds to the design ethos of the watch. From a practical standpoint, it's not needed. It's for heavy saturation diving, which is no one basically these days. You got this really cool bracelet. In my opinion, I really like the bracelet. I think it adds to sort of like a vintage sort of dressy vibe. It's nice and thin, so it wears very comfortably on wrist. Let's go over some of the finishing here. You got the brushed case sides. You got some polishing on the crown guards here, and then you have polished twisted lugs. And then on the outside of the bezel, you have this scallop design and a combination of polished and brushed, but mostly brushed. And I like the brushing on this watch. Compared to some other watches that have more polished finishing, I just prefer brushed because I think it does have a little bit more scratch resistance. I think it'll age a little bit better in the long term. It's just a beautifully finished watch. The bezel action has improved from the previous model. Very solid, very little to no play in between positions. And the scalped design does make it ever so slightly harder to turn than something like a Rolex sub, or you know, like a coin edge bezel, but it doesn't bother me. And personally, most of us don't really use the bezel all that much anyways. It's just a cool design element, and obviously a dive watch has got to have it, right? Let me just go ahead and show you guys a panoramic view of the watch. Very beautiful, very well done. It's got the milled clasp here. Kind of a huge clasp here, but it's very functional. On this new model, it has the micro adjust, push adjust, whatever you call it. It's a very useful feature. So if your wrist swells up in the summer, you can push this and extend the size of the bracelet. And in the winter, you can go ahead and push it back in and decrease the size of the bracelet when your wrist shrinks in colder climates. So on the back of the watch, you'll see there is a display exhibition case back, which showcases Omega's in-house master chronometer coaxial 8800 movement. This is a beautifully finished movement, and it's a technological powerhouse in terms of the magnetic resistance. It's resistant up to 15,000 Gauss, which is like an MRI machine or more. It's extremely accurate. It's METAS certified, METAS, which is more stringent than your standard COSC chronometer certification. This guy is rated at 0 to +5 seconds a day, whereas the COSC certification is about -2 to +2 seconds per day. I've had a very good experience with it so far. Like I mentioned earlier, I had to go out to Utah, so I had to actually, change the time, so that kind of altered, any accuracy that I had. But it's been running about half a second or less per day, plus half a second per day. So in my book, that's crazy accurate and just very impressive, especially at this price point. This guy is like half the price of a Rolex sub. You'll see a lot of comparisons out there. I think the consensus is that spec for spec, you definitely get great value with this watch. And I don't like to compare because each watch definitely has its perks. This is a very compelling modern diver from Omega. The dimensions is 42 millimeters in diameter, 13.5 or so thick, and this display case back does add a little bit of thickness to it, but it does meld into the wrist, so the watch wears pretty thin on your wrist. The lug to lug is about 20 millimeters, maybe 22 if I'm not mistaken, 50 millimeters lug tip to lug tip, and just a very well proportioned watch. Let me go ahead and get it on wrist for you guys. And it also has a dive extension here. You guys, if you study watches, you'll know where that is and how to operate it. So here is the watch on wrist. As you can see, pretty thin actually, considering it's a 300-meter water-resistant dive watch with a display case back. I know the Planet Ocean is definitely thicker than this one. It does fit decently under a shirt cuff. It bulges out ever so slightly, but for a dive watch, I can't complain. And to my point earlier, I really do like the fact that it has, I really enjoy this bracelet. It's not tapered at all. It just runs the same width all the way down. But I'll make the comparison to my Tag Heuer Aqua Racer here. It's just, the bracelet on an Oyster bracelet to me is just a lot bulkier. It's a lot more utilitarian. It's almost kind of like more of a tool watch function. Whereas, and this is kind of like what the Omega Seamaster is sort of known for. This iteration is more known as a dressy dive watch, and I think it definitely does its job well in that department. I would feel a bit more inclined to wear this one with a suit and tie because it just fits under the shirt cuff much easier. The end links are a lot thinner than like a traditional Oyster bracelet. It's just a a much more dressy watch in my book. So, and this tag is my first sort of luxury watch, and this is kind of my recent upgrade. So I'll probably do some kind of comparison between these two. I know that the Omega is kind of in a league of its own. It's definitely out of, you know, this aqua racer territory when it comes to specs and things like that. But you know, it'd be interesting to compare these guys like side by side, and in terms of value, what you get with each watch at each of the respective price points, because this guy's about half the price. So if you guys are interested in seeing a video like that, let me know. What else is there to say? It's a beautiful watch. I've really enjoyed my time with it. I'll probably do a follow-up review in a couple months to show you guys, you know, my experience with it so far, how it's held up. I think this is a watch that I'm just gonna wear and enjoy for a really long time. I think it's gonna age really well from a design and durability perspective, and also accuracy. These movements are workhorses, and they're supposed to last for like 10 to 15 years or something like that without servicing. So definitely looking forward to that, you know, low servicing cost with this guy. And just can't wait to enjoy it for many, many years to come. Let me go ahead and just switch off my light real quick for a quick Lume shot. But you can see that there's a bicolor application of the luminescence. You got the blue hour markers, indices, and then you have the green minute hand and the green Lume pip up at the 12 o'clock. And so it helps you discern sort of the minutes versus the hours at night. In terms of legibility, the skeletonized hands do compromise it a little because they're not fully filled, you know, because of the skeletonized design. It's not going to be a solid color, but I haven't had any major issues with it. I think it's worth the sacrifice of the look, in my personal opinion. You know, if you get something like the Aqua Racer, it is definitely going to be more legible, you know, or if you want an Omega, the Planet Ocean has those arrow hands. It's definitely more legible in the dark as well. One comment about the crown in the first position on this movement, this 8800 movement, it's a quick set date, whereas on the Planet Ocean, the first position, it'll give you a quick set hour. So some people like that feature on the Planet Ocean. They don't have that on this watch. The quick set hour is very useful when you're traveling and you want to just go ahead and, you know, change the hour. If you're going to New York, I'm the central time zone. If you're moving into the Eastern time zone, you can just jump ahead an hour without having to stop the seconds hand and compromise any kind of accuracy. But that's just one small inconvenience. Overall, I think this watch packs just a very good, solid value proposition. And I'm just so excited to own this watch. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Give me some feedback. Like and subscribe this video if you enjoy the video and enjoy the channel. And also give me some suggestions for future content. I'm thinking about comparing this guy to my Aqua Racer, obviously, and then also my Seiko SKX, and just doing some long-term reviews with it and some other watch-related topics, I guess. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.